There's something about routines that makes you feel safe. I guess that's the trap. I drive the same stretch of road every morning at 7:12 a.m. sharp. I leave my driveway, turn left at the end of Maple Street, and merge onto Route 87 South. It's always the same rhythm, same slow-ass truck at the light, same dented blue Civic with the busted taillight in the middle lane, same panhandler standing under the overpass with that crooked smile and sign that says, "Back in 10 minutes." I even timed the red lights like a ritual. It's not a long drive, maybe 30 minutes on a bad day, 20 if I catch all greens, but it's mine. Familiar. Quiet. No kids screaming in the back seat, no radio chatter, no podcasts. Just the low hum of the tires and whatever thoughts come and go before the day starts gnawing on me. 2 weeks ago, I bought one of those little dash cams off Amazon. Got a decent deal, figured it was good insurance, just in case some jerk clips me and takes off. It came with a 64 GB micro SD and loop recording. Set it and forget it. I mounted it right under the rearview mirror. Nothing fancy. It started recording on Monday morning. That was March 10th. I remember because I wrote the date on the box with a Sharpie, like an idiot, thinking I might return it if it sucked. It didn't suck. The first few days were uneventful, just the usual shots of sleepy roads and a low sun cutting through the windshield. But on Thursday, something changed. That day felt off from the start. The air had that static charged weight to it, the kind you feel right before a thunderstorm. Only the sky was clear. Pale blue. Too clean. I left at the same time. Drove the same route. Hit the same slow-ass truck. Everything looked the same. But something happened at the underpass. There was a guy standing there, not the usual panhandler. This one was wearing a dirty white windbreaker and a ball cap pulled low. He had no sign. No bag. Just stood there, staring at traffic. His face was vacant. Not angry or sad. Just off, like a painting that didn't quite line up with itself. I didn't think much of it at the time. Just clocked it as weird and kept driving. That night, I got bored and decided to scrub through the dashcam footage. I don't know why, maybe I wanted to check out the guy again. The motion detection caught him around the 17-minute mark, right under the overpass. Only, he wasn't alone. In the recording, my car starts to drift. Slowly at first. Then sharply to the right. There's the Civic. Then tires screeching. Then my voice, panicked, loud, yelling, "SHIT!" And then, the moment of impact. My car hits the guardrail. The camera jerks sideways and fuzzes out, catching just a blur of glass and metal folding. I hear myself scream. Not yell, scream. Something about my leg. Then silence. Static. The video ends. I sat there staring at the screen for a good minute, pulse thudding in my ears. The thing is, that accident never happened. I remember seeing the guy. I remember feeling weird. But I didn't crash. I drove to work. I even stopped for coffee. There's a timestamp on my receipt. 7:46 a.m. Double espresso, no room. But in the video, I did crash. And what's worse, right before the footage cuts to black, just before the camera shuts off, I lean into frame, blood on my face, eyes glazed, and say something I don't remember saying. 3 words. Clear as day. It already happened. I didn't sleep that night. I kept playing the clip over and over, as if staring at it long enough would reveal some flaw, some digital hiccup that would explain everything. Maybe a rendering error, maybe someone hacked the footage as a joke, hell, maybe the SD card was faulty. But no matter how many times I watched, it never changed. The camera recorded me crashing. The timestamp lined up with my drive, same day, same route, same car. But I had no injuries. My bumper wasn't scratched. There were no police reports. Nothing. I even checked the news and traffic feeds for that morning. 0 incidents on Route 87 South. Nothing about a black Mazda swerving into a guardrail. And my car? Not a mark on it. I went out with a flashlight just to be sure. The paint looked fine, the tires were intact. Even the windshield was clean. But that voice in the video, my voice, it didn't just sound scared. It sounded defeated. It already happened. I couldn't get that part out of my head. It was like listening to myself from the other side of something. Not fear. Acceptance. By morning, I convinced myself it had to be a technical issue. Some corrupted segment spliced in from who knows where. Maybe the manufacturer preloaded the card with test footage and forgot to wipe it. That's a thing, right? Still, it didn't explain how it had my voice. That Friday, I brought the video into work. Just casually. I work IT, so pulling someone into your cubicle to show them a weird tech thing doesn't raise eyebrows. I started with Ryan. He's the kind of guy who's always chasing new gadgets. He even helped me pick the dash cam. I pulled the clip up and watched him watch it. His smirk faded by the halfway point. When the crash hit, he actually flinched. "Dude," he muttered, leaning in. "What the hell?" Then came the last part. The final second. He looked at me. "That's you?" "I know." "But you're not." "I know." He asked if it was a prank. I said no. He asked again. I swore. I even handed him the SD card, made him plug it into his own machine. Same file. Same timestamp. Same crash. I showed 2 other people that day. Karen from accounting saw the same video, same crash. She looked genuinely shaken, like she'd witnessed something she shouldn't have. But when I showed it to James, my manager, he squinted at the screen and looked confused. "What accident?" he asked. I blinked. Rewound it. Played it again. "This part," I said, pointing at the exact moment the car hits the rail. He just watched, blinking slow. "I mean, I see the guy standing there, but your car just keeps going. Nothing happens." "What?" "You just drive past him. It cuts off kind of sudden, but there's no crash." I yanked the SD card out of his reader and stormed back to my desk. Tried it again. Crash. Screech. Me bleeding, whispering doom. But not for everyone. 3 saw it. 1 didn't. And just like that, the ground under my reality shifted. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones, the kind of wrong that makes dogs bark and old people whisper prayers under their breath. I wasn't looking at a recording anymore. I was looking at a timeline. One that somehow veered off from where I was standing. And maybe, just maybe, it was catching up. I didn't drive home that night. I sat in the office parking lot until long after everyone else had left, just watching the sky darken through the windshield. I couldn't bring myself to put the key in the ignition. I know how that sounds, like I was being paranoid, but if you'd seen yourself die in high-def 30 frames per second, you'd hesitate too. Eventually, I ordered a rideshare. Told myself I was being cautious, not scared. Left the car there overnight, sitting under the pale orange glow of the security lights like some sleeping animal I didn't trust anymore. I barely slept again. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the moment of impact. But it wasn't like watching a memory. It was more like something waiting. A frame frozen in time, humming just outside my vision, like it was biding its moment to slide into place. By morning, my nerves were sandpaper. I walked to the office, nearly 5 miles. Sweat soaked through my collar by the time I arrived. Ryan wasn't in yet, so I decided to review the footage one more time. Just to make sure I wasn't cracking up. The file was gone. Not corrupted. Gone. I checked the folder. Then the recycle bin. Then the SD card itself. No trace. Not even a .tmp file or ghost metadata. Just empty. Like it had never existed. I sat there staring at the screen, throat dry, ears ringing. I hadn't deleted it. I know I hadn't. I checked my cloud backups. The video had never uploaded. The autosync had failed 3 days in a row, citing transfer interrupted. I hadn't noticed because, well, nothing ever goes wrong. But now it was starting to feel like that phrase. Nothing goes wrong. was exactly the illusion I had been living in. And it was cracking. Around noon, I finally went back to the car. It was exactly where I'd left it, untouched. But something about it felt off. Like someone had been inside it, and put everything back just slightly out of place. The seat felt wrong under me. The mirror was tilted a hair too low. I reached for the dash cam, intending to check the older files. It blinked once. Then went dead. No power. No response. I popped the mount open, removed the SD card. It felt warm, like it had been in use. It wasn't. Later that night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my brother. He's 6 years older than me. Used to be in the military. He's the kind of guy who talks in short, controlled sentences and thinks feelings are things you keep in a box until you die. We hadn't talked since Mom's funeral. But I needed someone outside my circle. Someone who wouldn't say, "Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in?" like half the idiots at work. He picked up after the third ring. "Rob?" "Yeah. It's me." A pause. "Everything okay?" I told him about the crash. The footage. The missing file. The strange man under the overpass. I didn't care how I sounded. I laid it all out. When I finished, there was a long silence. I thought he'd hung up. Then he said, "You remember when I came back from Germany?" "Yeah." "You remember how I used to have those dreams?" I did. Nightmares, mostly. Screaming at night. Talking about things he wouldn't explain. We all chalked it up to combat stress, but he never admitted what it really was. He cleared his throat. "There's things out there," he said slowly, "that don't play by our rules. Time, cause and effect, sometimes it gets scrambled. Like stepping on a sheet of ice and sliding into another version of yourself. You think that's what this is? I think you better start watching everything. And I mean everything. Because if this is what I think it is, that video wasn't just a glitch." He paused. "It was a preview. I didn't go to work the next day. I didn't even call in. I sat on the couch, staring out the living room window like some half-broken dog waiting for a sound that never came. My brother's words echoed in my head. A preview. I kept thinking about movies, how you watch a trailer before the real thing starts. A few scattered scenes, a tease of something bigger. That's what the video felt like now. A trailer of my own death. A minute-long ad for the end of me. Only, the movie hadn't played yet. I didn't touch the car. Didn't go near the garage. I ordered delivery, let the food sit on the porch for half an hour before opening the door. The sound of tires passing on the road made my skin crawl. Every time I blinked, I saw it again, that man in the windbreaker under the overpass. His face never clear, but always there, like a watermark stamped on my thoughts. It was around 3 p.m. when it happened. I was watching some garbage show on my laptop, trying to distract myself. My phone was on the armrest. Face down. No calls, no notifications. Then it vibrated once. A single buzz. I turned it over. The screen was black. No text, no app, no caller ID. Just a video file. 17_accidentfinal.mp4. I didn't download it. I didn't open anything. But there it was. No sender. No source. I stared at it, heart pounding, fingers numb. And then it autoplayed. No preview. No warning. Just the footage, except not the same one I'd seen before. This time, I wasn't alone. The dash cam showed the crash, like before, the swerve, the screeching metal, the impact. But in the final second, just before the frame froze, someone leaned into view from the passenger's side. A face. Pale. Wide-eyed. And smiling. I've never had passengers. Not that day. Not ever. It wasn't just someone in the car. It was someone I didn't recognize. Yet something about the way they looked at the camera, like they were watching me, not the lens, made my stomach twist. I slammed the phone face down and backed away like it was toxic. I wanted to throw it across the room. but the screen lit up again. Just one phrase. Plain white text on black background. You missed it. I stared at that message for what felt like an hour. My mouth was dry. My palms slick with sweat. Somewhere in the distance, a car horn honked twice, short, sharp bursts that sounded almost deliberate. Then a memory surfaced. Not a clear one, more like a sensation. Déjà vu, but heavier. Like gravity shifted for half a second. I remembered that sound. That exact horn pattern. I heard it days ago, maybe weeks, but not from this room. From the video. From the accident. That night, I finally caved and did what any self-respecting paranoid wreck would do. I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon, sat down at my desk, and started scrubbing every single second of footage from the dashcam backups I'd managed to pull before the original disappeared. I found the March 9th file. The day before the crash video. Everything looked normal. The drive, the truck, the Civic, the lights, until the underpass. Pause. Right there, just as I passed underneath, the frame jittered, just a flicker, not even a full glitch. A half second of static, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. But when I slowed it down, frame by frame, there he was. That same man in the white windbreaker. Standing on the shoulder again. Exactly where he'd been the day after. Only this time, he wasn't looking at traffic. He was looking straight at my car. At me. Like he knew. I froze the image. Zoomed in. The frame quality was garbage, all pixelated and muddy. But the shape of his face, even in low resolution, made my skin crawl. It was like the features didn't sit right on the skull. Like they'd been rearranged by someone who'd only ever heard about faces in theory. And his hand, God, I hadn't noticed before. His hand was raised, like he was pointing. No. Waving. One slow wave. Like a farewell. Like he was watching me drive off to my own funeral. I jumped back to March 7th. Another flicker. March 5th, same thing. Every day I checked, he was there. Not always standing. Sometimes he was sitting on the concrete barrier. Once, he was on the opposite side of the road, just walking slowly into the frame. But always present. Always facing me. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe the dashcam filtered him out in real time. Or maybe, and this is the part that really started to rot my brain, maybe he wasn't there yet. Maybe the camera was seeing something ahead of me. Something that hadn't happened but would. And then I had a thought. A horrible, sickening thought. I pulled up March 11th, the day after the crash recording. It shouldn't have existed. I hadn't driven that day. I was too shaken. But the file was there. And the timestamp read 7:16 a.m. I never turned the car on that morning. I clicked it open. My hands were shaking so bad I fumbled the mouse. The footage opened to a shot of the road. Empty. No traffic. No noise. Then the camera turned slightly, like someone had reached up and adjusted it. But I hadn't. I hadn't been in the car. I was home. I remember being home. And then, from the far left of the frame, the man in the windbreaker stepped out onto the road. Only this time, he wasn't alone. There was someone else walking beside him. Someone hunched, dragging their left leg like it was broken. Someone wearing my exact jacket. I didn't leave the house for 2 days. I kept the doors locked, curtains drawn. I unplugged the dash cam. Disconnected the battery. Yanked the whole mount off the windshield and buried the thing in the back of my closet under a stack of laundry I'd never folded. But it didn't stop the feeling. Like I was being followed by my own shadow, only it didn't belong to me anymore. The next day, Ryan texted me around noon. "Hey man, you alive?" I almost didn't answer. But I needed to talk to someone, anyone, before I lost my grip completely. I invited him over. Told him I had to show him something weird. He brought beers, like it was just another Saturday hangout. I didn't even know how to start. "I think the video's coming true," I finally said. He just blinked at me. "You mean the crash one?" I nodded. "Did it happen again?" No. But it keeps showing me things. Footage of stuff I didn't record. Stuff that hasn't even happened yet. He looked at me for a long second, then leaned back and rubbed his jaw. All right, he said. Show me. I pulled up the March 11th file. The one with the man and the limping figure in my jacket. I clicked play. Turned the monitor so he could see everything clearly. It ran for 38 seconds. Then ended. He looked confused. What? I asked. You're messing with me. I'm not. There's nothing there, dude. It's just road. Empty road. Like totally blank. Nothing moves the whole time. I felt the blood drain from my face. You didn't see the two people? He shook his head. No. It's just frozen. Are you sure this isn't one of those corrupted files? I played it again. Right in front of him. This time I saw it. Just like before, the man in the windbreaker, then the limping figure in my clothes. Same dragging leg. Same dead-eyed shuffle. Ryan stared at the screen the entire time. And when it ended, he just shrugged. Same thing. Empty frame. Something cracked inside me then. Something small and essential. Not because he didn't believe me, but because I believed him. I could tell he wasn't faking. There was no flicker of deception in his eyes. Whatever this was, this vision, this omen, it wasn't visible to everyone. Only to me. Or maybe it only showed itself to the person it belonged to. That night I went online. Deep dives. Conspiracy forums. Digital anomalies, unexplained recordings, time slips. Camera prophecies. Most of it was nonsense, fringe garbage. But then I found a thread. Buried on a dead forum last active in 2013. A single post. No replies. Has anyone ever had a video of themselves dying, and then kept living? I clicked it, heart pounding. The user wrote about a helmet cam from a motorcycle ride. How he'd reviewed the footage and seen himself collide with a semi. Head crushed. Bone visible. But it never happened. He was fine. The ride had been smooth. But a week later, he started seeing that same truck everywhere. Hearing the exact line of dialogue he'd screamed during the crash in other people's mouths. Once, he swore he looked in the mirror and saw himself with a bloodied face, just for a second. The post ended abruptly. No follow-up. No profile history. Like the user never existed. I stared at that screen for what felt like an hour. My monitor's reflection caught my face. And for the first time, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. A faint, diagonal scar, just under my left cheekbone. I reached up to touch it. But there was nothing there. It started small. At first, it was just a flicker. A word I'd hear in passing, and feel like I'd already heard. A stranger bumping into me on the sidewalk and apologizing before it happened. The exact same ad playing on YouTube 3 times in a row, same length, same glitch in the same frame. Then it escalated. Tuesday morning, I was brushing my teeth, just zoning out, when I heard myself mutter something, low, almost inaudible. 38 seconds. I stopped, toothbrush halfway to my lips. I hadn't meant to say it. It wasn't a thought I was thinking. It was like the words came from someone else wearing my voice. That number, 38, it had shown up before. The last clip. The video file from March 11th. It was 38 seconds long. That night, I dreamed I was driving. Same road. Same overpass. Only this time, everything was reversed, headlights flowing backwards, people walking in reverse motion, even the leaves swirling upward into the trees instead of falling. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw my own eyes staring back. But not from my face. From the back seat. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. The clock read 3:38 a.m. I didn't sleep again. Later that day, I forced myself to drive the route again. I thought if I faced it, if I actually went back and looked, maybe it would break the spell. Maybe the whole thing would collapse under its own logic. I took the same turns. Same slow-ass truck. Same busted Civic. But when I approached the overpass, I felt it. That static air again. Like before a storm. But not on my skin, in my chest, my teeth. Like my whole body was vibrating on a frequency I wasn't supposed to hear. And there he was. The man in the white windbreaker. Standing exactly where he'd been in the original footage. Only this time, he wasn't facing traffic. He was facing me. Head tilted, lips moving. No sound. I slowed down. Rolled the window down halfway. His mouth kept moving, repeating the same sentence over and over. I strained to hear it. But my ears rang. Like static. Then my phone buzzed on the seat next to me. I glanced down. Just for a second. When I looked back up, he was gone. I hit the brakes. Pulled over. Jumped out of the car. The shoulder was empty. Not a trace. Not a footprint. Not a wrapper. Not even dust disturbed. But I swear to God, the air smelled like burnt metal. Like radiator fluid and scorched rubber. I looked down the road, and that's when I saw it. The guardrail. A fresh dent in the exact spot I'd crashed in the video. Still gleaming. Still raw. Still new. I reached out and touched it, and my fingertips came back with a thin smear of red. Back home, I washed the blood off my hand 3 times. Soap, hot water, scrubbed until my skin stung. It wasn't much, just a faint smear, like someone had brushed past the guardrail with an open wound. But it was real. It wasn't a dream. Wasn't a memory. I had touched it. That meant I hadn't imagined the dent either. That meant the crash, or a crash, had happened. But not to me. Not yet. I checked every local news site, every traffic alert I could find. Nothing about an accident on Route 87. Nothing about an injured driver or a hit and run. It was like it had happened outside of reality, a thin layered echo just above it. I was starting to wonder if that echo was moving closer. That night, I pulled out the dash cam again. Couldn't help it. I needed to see it. Needed to know if something new had been recorded. I hooked it up to the monitor. There was a new file. 38_reverse.mp4. I hadn't driven today. Hadn't turned the camera on. The device shouldn't have had power. But there it was, timestamped to 7:16 a.m., same as before. I clicked it open. The video was grainy, flickering like old VHS. It opened on a view of my dashboard from the back seat, like the camera had been moved. And sitting in the driver's seat was me. But not me. The posture was wrong. Head tilted slightly, hands trembling. And the car wasn't moving. It was parked. Still. Then the version of me turned toward the camera. His mouth moved. I leaned in. And this time, I heard it. The audio was warped, slowed down, like underwater speech. But the words were unmistakable. You only remember surviving. Then static. Cut to black. The file ended. I stared at the blank screen, heart pounding like I'd just run a mile. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I reached for my phone, and that's when I noticed something else. My text prediction, you know, the little bar that suggests the next word as you type, it was suggesting phrases I hadn't written. Not once. I opened a blank message and started typing the word. The suggestion read. I already crashed. I erased it. Tried again. Typed. When will? It autofilled. They realize it happened? I stood up so fast I knocked my chair over. My body felt wrong. Like I'd stood up inside someone else's skin. Like my balance didn't belong to me anymore. I ran to the bathroom and splashed water on my face. Looked up. And I swear, for 1 second, my reflection didn't move. Just stared back, head still, lips parted. Like it was waiting for me to say something. Then it whispered. I didn't hear it. I felt it, like a thought slipped under my tongue. You'll say it soon. The next morning, I stayed in bed until the sun was fully up. I was afraid of what the light might show. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the creak of old pipes settling. Every sound felt too sharp, too present. Like I was more here than I should be. Like the world was trying too hard to remind me it still existed. I didn't check the dash cam. Didn't check my phone either. But I kept hearing those words over and over in my mind. You only remember surviving. It wasn't just a warning. It was a clue. And it started to occur to me that maybe I didn't survive. Not in the way I thought. I mean, what is survival, really? Is it the absence of death? Or is it the continuation of something pretending to be alive? Because things were happening around me now that didn't line up with living. Like the man in the elevator. I was headed to my building's laundry room in the basement. It's one of those old cage-style elevators, slow and clunky, smells like rust and bleach. I pressed B. Just before the door closed, a man stepped in. Tall. Pale. Dressed in a janitor's uniform that looked a size too big. I didn't recognize him. And I knew all the janitors in the building. He didn't say a word. We rode down in silence. But halfway to the basement, the lights flickered. Not the usual fluorescent hum, I mean full blackout then back. Half a second. Like reality blinked. And when they came back on, I swear I saw him look at me out of the corner of his eye. No, not look. Anticipate. As if he knew I was about to turn my head. I didn't. I stared straight ahead. But I felt it, that tightening sensation in your chest when someone's standing too close, when you're being measured for something you don't understand. Then he spoke. Low, gravelly voice. Not casual. Not small talk. He said. It's almost time. That's it. Just that. I turned to ask what he meant. But he was gone. I mean gone. Not stepping out, not turning a corner, not there. The door hadn't even opened yet. I hit every button. Got out on the next floor. Climbed 3 flights up to my apartment, and locked the door behind me. I checked the building directory later. No janitor on staff matched his description. Later that night, my phone buzzed. 1 notification. 1 video saved to your camera roll. I hadn't taken any videos. I opened it. It was a screen recording of me, earlier that morning, standing at my bathroom mirror. Just standing there. Silent. But at exactly 38 seconds in, my reflection lifted a hand and mouthed something. I played it back 5 times before I figured it out. 3 words. Say it now. I didn't say it. I wanted to. I wanted to lean into that mirror and mouth the words back just to see what would happen. But something told me not to. Maybe instinct. Maybe fear. Maybe it was the way my reflection paused, like it was listening, like it needed me to respond to move forward. And I wasn't ready for forward anymore. I was starting to believe that every step I took was part of a loop. A trap. And somewhere along the way, I'd stopped making choices. Started following a script I didn't remember agreeing to. That night, I watched the video 1 more time. Say it now. I wrote the phrase down. Pinned it to my fridge. I didn't know why, maybe so I wouldn't forget. Or maybe because some part of me wanted to say it eventually. That was yesterday. Today, I sat in my car in the office parking lot. I haven't gone inside. I don't think I'm going to. Because something's been happening all morning. People, strangers, have been finishing my sentences. I ordered coffee and said, "Can I get a?" The barista said, "Double espresso." No room. I never told her that before. I called the office to let them know I might be late. Before I spoke, the receptionist said, "You're not coming in today, are you?" I hung up. I went for a walk. Down past the gas station, toward the edge of town, where the woods start. A couple was walking their dog. The woman looked up as I passed. She smiled politely and said, "It's today, isn't it?" I stopped. "What?" But she just shook her head. "You'll get there." She tugged on the dog's leash and they walked off. I didn't follow. I went back to the car. Sat in the driver's seat. The dash cam was still detached. Still silent. But when I looked down at the center console, there was a sticky note I hadn't written. Same handwriting as the one on my fridge. 3 words. It already happened. And then my phone buzzed. No number. No ID. Just a single message. Your line is next. I didn't go home. I just drove. I kept telling myself I wasn't heading anywhere in particular, but every turn I took brought me closer to one road. That road. Route 87 South. The one I've driven every weekday for the past 6 years. I watched the signs pass in the corner of my eye like they were tracking my position, logging it. Familiar things that now felt wrong, too still, too placed. Like set dressing. Like props. And I kept waiting for something to stop me. A blown tire. An emergency call. A sudden rainstorm. But nothing did. The world wanted me back on that stretch of highway. The closer I got, the heavier my limbs felt. Not in a metaphorical way, physically. Like my hands didn't belong to me. Like I was wearing someone else's fingers. And the worst part? Everything started matching. I passed the slow-moving truck. Same rust pattern. Same crooked tailgate. The dented blue Civic merged 2 cars ahead. Its right blinker was still busted, pulsing like a strobe. And then I saw the overpass. I should have turned around. But I didn't. Because I realized I wasn't driving anymore. Not really. I was following. Not the GPS. Not a path. Something deeper. Something recorded. I gripped the wheel tighter, and that's when I saw the time on the dash. 7:16 a.m. The same time stamped on every corrupted video. The same time from the day the crash should have happened. And for the first time, I wasn't scared. I felt prepared. Like everything that had led me here, every glitch, every whisper, every warped reflection, was part of a single frame waiting to render. I approached the overpass. Slowed down. And there he was. White windbreaker. Cap pulled low. He stepped into the shoulder like he knew this was the exact second he was meant to be there. He didn't look surprised to see me. This time, he was smiling. And standing right behind him. God help me. Was me. Myself, exactly as I had seen in the March 11th video. Face pale. Left leg dragging. Wearing the same jacket I had on now. He raised a hand. Waved slowly. And mouthed something. You're almost here. My heart punched once, hard, like it wanted out. And then, the guardrail. Bent. Fresh. Waiting. The wheel pulled slightly. The tires caught a rough patch. And for a second, just a second, I saw myself from outside the car. A glimpse. Not in a mirror. Not on a screen. A third-person view of myself, driving toward the moment that had already been decided. I blinked. Back in my body. Back in the seat. Back in the second just before the crash. The second didn't pass. It hung there, suspended, stretched thin like plastic wrap just before it tears. My hands were locked on the wheel. My foot hovered above the brake, mid-twitch. The road ahead had frozen in place. The slow truck, the Civic, they weren't moving. Not even a flicker. It was like someone had paused the film, and I was the only thing still breathing inside the frame. And God help me, I was still breathing. I could hear it. Slow. Shallow. Shaking. And then something impossible happened. A click, loud and mechanical, echoed from nowhere. And the world moved one frame forward. Just one. Like watching a film reel advance a single notch. The truck's brake light flickered. My hands tightened around the wheel involuntarily. Then click, again. Another frame. The guardrail loomed closer. I tried to move. To swerve. To slam the brakes. Nothing. My body wasn't frozen, I could feel it, feel my heart, feel sweat drip down my spine, but nothing responded. Like I was watching a recording. A loop playing out. And then came the audio. But not from outside. From inside the car. A voice, my voice, from somewhere beneath the cabin's normal soundscape, like it was coming from inside the engine or the bones of the car itself. It whispered, "Watch yourself end." Click. Another frame. I was closer to the rail now. A single foot, maybe less. I could see the fresh metal scar, same shape I'd touched the day before. I started yelling. Not in fear, in rage. I screamed into the silence, hoping to shatter the moment. Trying to force the second to break, to move. And it did, but not forward. Everything rewound. Click. 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 The world jerked back 3 frames, just enough to show me myself, still frozen, screaming. But no sound came out of that version of me. Then, forward again. Faster this time. Click. 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 Until I was at the exact same frame I'd started in. And something was different. The reflection in the rearview mirror. It didn't match me anymore. The version of me in the mirror was bleeding. Forehead cracked open. Blood in one eye. Mouth slack. He mouthed something again, not. Say it now. Not. It already happened. No, this time he said. This is the copy. And that's when I understood. I was no longer watching a premonition. I was watching a repetition. A cycle. A recorded death playing itself out again and again, frame by frame, until the performance was perfect. And I wasn't the one driving. I was just the actor. Reading a line I hadn't spoken yet. I thought if I just stayed silent, I could break it. Refused to speak the line. Refused to complete the scene. But the second wouldn't end. It hung there, tighter now, like a rubber band pulled to its final stretch. I could feel something behind the moment, pressing, waiting, like it needed my cue. I stared at the road ahead, then at the reflection in the mirror. Still me. Still bleeding. Still watching. Then a flicker, so fast I almost missed it. The road ahead of me shifted. Not turned, not blurred, just repeated. The same 20 feet of asphalt looped 3 times like a broken animation. My stomach turned. I looked left, the man in the white windbreaker. He wasn't watching anymore. He was walking toward me. His steps matched the clicks of the frames, jerky, inhuman, like a puppet being dragged through time. And behind him, the other version of me, the limping one, had stopped waving. Now he was pointing. Straight at the passenger seat. I turned slowly. There was nothing there. Just the empty seat. But a shape rippled in the air above it. Like heat off a road. Like something was almost visible. And then the whisper came again. From the bones of the car. From the tires. From the seat belt pressed tight against my chest. Say it now. The script. My line. The only thing I'd been designed to say in this performance. I clenched my jaw. Tried to bite down on the words. But they rose anyway, like steam through a crack. Like breath through a dying throat. I opened my mouth. But something changed. Not in me. In them. The man in the windbreaker suddenly turned his head. Fast. Too fast. Like he heard something. And the copy of me, the one standing in the shoulder, stepped backward. Just once. I didn't speak. And for the first time, the loop shivered. I heard a new sound. Something never heard before in any version of the video, any playback, any dream. A heartbeat. My own. Loud. Slow. Real. Then the frame began to tear. Not metaphorically. Literally. A vertical split, like old film burning through the middle. The road, the sky, even the dashboard started peeling away like paper. And behind it? Another road. Empty. Dark. Unfinished. The recording was breaking. The second couldn't hold me anymore. I wasn't following the script. And the world didn't know what to do with me. The moment the frame split, everything started to unravel. It didn't collapse. It corrected, like a film reel trying to pull itself back into alignment. But it couldn't. Not fully. Reality stuttered. The sky blinked twice. Clouds reversed direction like spilled ink sucking back into the pen. The dashboard lights flickered on, off, then dimmed into unreadable symbols, alien, warped letters that looked familiar only because I'd seen them in dreams I never remembered until now. And then the voice came back. Not from inside the car this time. From the radio, dead and unplugged yet speaking through static. Return to position. This take is broken. I felt the wheel jerk. Not violently, but purposefully. Like something guiding me gently back to the line of fate I had stepped away from. I pulled back. Fought it. It jerked again. More aggressive this time. The frame around the windshield shifted, not bending, but widening, revealing things I wasn't supposed to see. A wider shot. Like a camera zooming out. And on the sides of the road, far back, deep in the tree-line, I saw them. Dozens of figures. Still. Identical white windbreakers. Faces turned away. Watching the loop. All of them lined up like extras waiting for their cue. Some carried tripods. Some held slates. All unmoving. And I understood. I wasn't just in a loop. I was in a set. Something was filming me. Always had been. Every second, every breath, every deviation. And I'd gone off script. Again, the radio crackled. You must deliver your line. I slammed the volume knob. But it didn't stop. The voice spoke directly through the car now. Through the vents, the speakers, the rumble under the seat. Say it. Complete the scene. The air inside the cabin thickened, not with smoke, not with heat, with expectation. The second that had stretched so long now trembled, ready to snap back like a rubber band. One word, and the scene would lock. One sentence, and I would crash again. I gritted my teeth. I screamed. No. The windshield cracked instantly. A spiderweb fracture that pulsed outward like a heartbeat. The voice hesitated. The car stopped shaking. Outside, the road wavered like a mirage. And from the cracked glass, my own face stared in, not mirrored, not reflected, just there, leaning in from the outside. It whispered something I felt more than heard. Then we start again. I woke up in my car. Seatbelt locked tight. Hands resting on the wheel. Engine humming low. Sunlight streamed through the windshield, soft and gold, the kind that only happens around 7:12 a.m. Same time I always leave. Same road. Same quiet. It felt like nothing had happened. No crash. No rewind. No tear in the frame. But I remembered everything. And something was wrong with the silence. Too clean. Too composed. Like the world had been rebuilt overnight from a blueprint, but the people who put it back together didn't understand noise. There was no bird call. No rustling leaves. Even the tires on the asphalt felt too smooth. I glanced at the rear view. There I was. No blood. No cracks. Just my face. But I didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't even breathe. I turned quickly, nothing in the back seat. When I looked back at the mirror, it was just a reflection again. Almost. The GPS spoke up. It had been off. Muted. But now, it said in that cold robotic voice. In 38 seconds, prepare to merge into death. I froze. The display glitched. 38. 38. 38, blinking on a loop. The road ahead straightened. I saw the Civic. The truck. The underpass. I didn't brake this time. I didn't accelerate. I just let it happen. Not because I gave up. Because I knew. There was no escape. Only the illusion of choice. The lie of reaction. The dashcam hadn't predicted the crash, it had recorded it. And what I'd been living through since that day, every glitch, every echo, every familiar phrase. It was the moment after. An echo reverberating in a body that was already broken. A second stretched thin, looping back on itself, refusing to end. Some part of me must have died on March 10th. But another part, call it memory, call it soul, call it data, got stuck. Like a frame on repeat. As I passed the overpass, I looked to my left. The man in the windbreaker wasn't there. Neither was the copy of me. But the guardrail had a fresh dent. And in the final second, just as I passed it, I felt the wheel jerk hard right. My voice burst from my throat before I could stop it. The line. The line I hadn't said? It already happened. Metal screamed. Glass burst. Darkness slammed in. And then... click. I woke up in my car. Seatbelt locked. Hands on the wheel. GPS quiet. Time, 7:12 a.m. Just a second before the accident. Again. And again. And again. I don't know if I ever walked away that day. I don't know if the version of me that made it to work ever existed at all. All I know is this. There's a second between impact and death. A second where the body remembers. A second that doesn't want to let go. And I am still in it. Recording. Rewinding. Waiting for a line I've already said.